The European Union has said West African countries have a very low trade interaction, and this has ranged between 11% to 15% of their total trade in the past 25 years. In an exclusive interview with Brian O'Neill, the European Union's delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, CNBC Africa's Umu Ibrahim discussed the grants to support the promotion of trade, investment and industrial development in Nigeria and West Africa.
West Africa is a region that has to open up, improve manufacturing capacity and produce many more goods for the West African consumer. This 40 million that you mentioned is only part of our overall aid and trade package with West Africa. We believe in Made in West Africa. We believe very much in Made in Nigeria. With the current shock of the lowering of the price of a barrel of oil, industry has to diversify. Nigeria and other countries have to find other ways of manufacturing. The consumer here needs better quality goods at a better price. So we see this as a great opportunity to boost manufacturing, to boost trade in West Africa. Nigeria represents 70% of the West African economy. There's enormous potential for manufacturers here to satisfy the domestic market, but also the regional market. And our package of assistance is to try and advance this process.
Now, Brian, how will the components of the support contribute towards the implementation of the ECOWAS, common external tariff and the economic partnership agreement? How will this, affect investments in Nigeria?
As I said, West Africa has to expand its manufacturing capacity. This is a region with enormous potential, with a consumer market of well over 300 million people. This market needs to be satisfied by locally produced goods. So there's a need for Nigerian manufacturers, but West African manufacturers in general, to really concentrate on satisfying local markets. They have a comparative advantage, they're local, they know the tastes. But there are many challenges. There are many challenges including the factors of production. Unit costs of electricity are very high, unit costs of transport are very high because of poor roads and poor ports. So this is a package that needs to be multi-sectoral. We need to think of improving infrastructure, we need to think of improving energy and power, we need to think of improving even access to health facilities, because a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. We need to improve how the overall power system works. There are many factors to this, and it'll take time. It's not something that's done quickly, but West Africa needs to be part of the world economy. It's a large market with enormous potential, and in the time I've been here, I've grown to have enormous respect for the very dynamic character of the entrepreneur in West Africa, in particular of the Nigerian entrepreneur. There are some very good people here.
Now, West Africa has a major, opportunity to deepen internal trade and investments, and also, become a global economic player. Amidst this, where do you see Nigeria?
Well, Nigeria is half the population of West Africa. Nigeria is big brother in West Africa. Therefore, it can lead. It can help the other countries come along. Population of Nigeria is 170 million, which represents, as I said, half the population of West Africa. Nigeria is a powerhouse. It's the first economy of Africa. It has enormous potential, has enormous resources. This is a large country. This is a rich country. It has many resources, not just oil, not just hydrocarbons, but also fertile land. It has a dynamic people. It has a well-educated people. So there's enormous potential here for the powerhouse, the economic powerhouse that is Nigeria, to finally go onto the world market in the way that they should. The ambition is to reach 2020. Nigeria wants to become one of the 20 great economies of the world. We believe it can become, and we want to help Nigeria towards that objective. But we look at it in a regional context, because Nigeria is not an island. It's part of the West African region, and Nigerian manufacturing goods can help suit the West African market. And in the same way, West African goods from Ghana or from Togo or from Cote d'Ivoire, from anywhere, can come on the Nigerian market and satisfy Nigerian consumers.
Now, Nigeria is hoping to, be among one of the top 20 economies by the year 2020. And for the country to be able to achieve this, it needs to at least deepen its business relation with, global, with the countries around the world. Now, how open do you think Nigeria is to business?
Nigeria is open, but Nigeria in some ways is a little bit timid on the world market. They feel that there could be unfair competition from other manufacturers, but Nigeria has to seek its comparative advantage where it can move ahead. In the trade agreements and the economic partnership agreements, Nigerian industry is given a long period of time where it is protected and continues to be protected before other countries' products can come on the market. So the protection is there in the early stages, but you can't remain protected forever, because the protection of the producer is to the disadvantage of the consumer. And the Nigerian consumer, and I said there's 170 million consumers in Nigeria, needs access to good quality products at the best possible price. Hopefully they will be made in Nigeria, but they could also be made in Ghana or anywhere else in the region. I don't think there's going to be too much competition from products coming out of Europe, because what we produce in Europe is not necessarily what Nigeria needs here today. So I think the main competition will come from other parts of Africa. But this is a good thing.
Now, the European Union has over the years given grants and support to the various sectors of the economy. Now, does the EU have, any future plans for investment in Nigeria?
Well, the overall budget that's currently allocated to the region is slightly over 2.5 billion euros for aid and trade matters. And if we put together what we're doing in the European Union along with the European Union member states, we actually come to a figure of 6.5 billion euros. That money will be used to invest in roads, in ports, in electricity, in improving health systems, in many, many areas. For example, in the 3 countries most affected by Ebola, Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea, we are one of the main donors and one of the main actors on the scene trying to stop this particular crisis, which is affecting the economies of those 3 countries very badly. And as these 3 countries form part of the region, we all have to worry about the spread of disease out of the 3 countries. So we've been very active in trying to contain it as far as that's concerned. But we're in a long-term relationship with Nigeria. We've been here for the past decades, and we will be here for the next decades. Nigeria is a strategic partner for the European Union. We see Nigeria as a source of raw materials and of goods, but also as a source of people, because the relationship between the people of Nigeria and people of Europe is age-old and will continue. So the relationship, the political relationship, the people-to-people relationship, and economic relationships will be built upon and will improve over the years.
Now, the power sector still remains a challenge to the Nigerian government. Are you doing anything with regards to the power sector?
Yeah, actually, we're very active in power. We support the government's policies. We support the liberalisation of the market. We've been quite active in terms of funding quite a number of projects to try and improve access to electricity. We're concentrating much more on renewables and energy efficiency than the massive power products, primarily because, as you said, we provide mostly grants. These are non-repayable. It's difficult to justify a grant into a capital project. However, we're working very closely with the European Investment Bank and with other investment banks to leverage large-scale capital inflows into the power sectors, using our grants to underwrite things like technical studies, pre-feasibility studies, and even interest rate subsidies to make it more attractive for the development banks to come in and cheaper for Nigeria to borrow to fund its needs. The needs are massive, and it'll take quite a while to tackle them.
That was Brian O'Neill, Head of Cooperation for the EU's ECOWAS delegation to Nigeria.